When you're meeting your Filipina for the first time, how will you manage the many doubts and anxiety that many of us will feel? You can be sure that when in a long-distance relationship with a Filipina, it's very normal to have great anxiety, and doubts are bound to creep into your mind, especially on that long flight to meet her for the very first time in the Philippines. Right here, I'm going to tell you how you can manage the doubts and anxiety so it doesn't get the better of you, which will allow you to relax as you speed towards the Philippines and your Filipina. So to find out more, be sure to buckle up and stay with me here. Just quickly, if you're looking to date a Filipina or are already in such a relationship and are looking for support and guidance in a more personal way, then be sure to check out my consulting service where you'll get personal access to me to assist you in achieving an amazing relationship with a Filipina. My link is in the pinned comment and description below. It doesn't matter how long you guys have been chatting for online and how well you think you know each other from those many late night conversations. Yes, online you guys felt very comfortable chatting, but now the reality is about to kick in. And the reality is that the two of you are about to come face to face in person for the very first time. And for many, this can be rather daunting, and for some, possibly even overwhelming. You can be feeling very excited and positive about the first meeting right up to an hour or two into the flight. One must know that when you have plenty of time to think, as you do on a long flight, it's amazing how the mind will run wild. You may start to have many thoughts about your Filipina and how the two of you will actually get on in person. Will she be the same in person as she was online? And will she even be there to meet you as planned when you arrive, or will she stand you up? What if I find out all she really wants is my money? And these sorts of thoughts keep on coming, which of course can cause much anxiety for the duration of the flight. One must know that those are all rather natural thoughts, and we really can't control what thoughts slip into our mind, but we can find ways to control them so your anxiety levels don't go through the roof. I've spoken to guys who have told me of being so anxious all the way to the Philippines, and every negative scenario kept coming into their mind. In my case, I do remember I did have some thoughts cross my mind on the flight, one of which was, what if she changes her mind and doesn't come to greet me at the airport as planned? Of course, such thoughts, as I say, are rather normal, because we haven't really made that close personal connection. It's only when we have that close connection where we get to spend time together that many of those fears will go away. And that's why I always say that online is a fabulous way to meet a Filipina. But to take it to the next level, one needs to spend a good amount of quality time together. Now, for some guys who may be prone to being rather anxious or may often see the glass as being half empty rather than half full, this first flight to meet your Filipina may be one very long and disturbing flight, at least in your mind. All you may be thinking about is every negative video or article that you've ever seen around Filipina horror stories, and this no doubt will increase your worry and anxiety. So what I'm about to tell you here will help many of you to have a more enjoyable and relaxing flight, which in turn will have you in good spirits and a good frame of mind when you land in the Philippines. Awareness around your own insecurities and thoughts is key in all of this. So be sure not to let those things overtake your mind and the reality of what is about to happen. I always tell people not to think about negative situations until they're there in front of us. Because if we worry about what may be, then we may be worrying about something that may never eventuate. My advice is to deal with the situation if it arises, and not before then. Otherwise, you may just end up worrying and having all that anxiety for no reason at all. So really, it's how we think of it all in our mind. As those thoughts creep in, be aware of them and deal with them by looking at the many hours of chat time you guys had together where there were no red flags. Trust in your own judgment that all will be fine, and look for the excitement in what is coming rather than the anxiety. And if you're prone to anxiety, then perhaps speak to a doctor prior to flying, as there may be some medicines or natural medicines that can help you to calm your anxiety. But what I find works well with challenging those negative thoughts in your mind and pushing them out is distraction. Yes, if your flight has movies or music, then that can be a great distraction for many hours, rather than doing nothing, which gives over to negative thoughts creeping into your mind. If you're rather a social person, you may strike up a conversation with the person sitting near you, but just don't do it in a creepy way. Or perhaps you may be a person who likes to sleep when flying. That's certainly a great way to keeping the negative thoughts and anxiety at bay. But most of all, as I say, trust in what the two of you have built during the months you have been getting to know each other. And certainly, be sure not to confuse being a little nervous with anxiety, as they're far different. One must know that being nervous is rather normal when we get excited or we care enough to want something to work out well. Being a little nervous is fine, but anxiety is something that can take over our body to the point we may not think or function as normal. Another great way to counteract this is to learn some breathing techniques that you can use on the flight. There are many good ones out there that are so simple to do, and no one would even know that you're doing them. For those of you that may require one-on-one help with this via personalised video call sessions, you can reach out to me on my consulting service page, which the link is in the pinned comment and description. As you can see, there are many precautions we can take and strategies to use in order to keep the negative thoughts and anxiety at bay, or at least to a reasonable level where we can relax more on the flight and not to be so wound up when we arrive in the Philippines. And you'll certainly feel much better when you arrive, because one can be sure that worry and anxiety will certainly drain your energy, and all you'll want to do is crash once you arrive. And that's certainly not an ideal way to meet your Filipina for the first time. If you'd like more valuable free information and tips around meeting your Filipina for the first time, then be sure to check out the playlist on screen now. And be very sure to like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.